Well, I joined the Navy the day I turned 18. Basically, like any other teenager at that age, it was either go to college, work, or go find a job. So I decided to go find a job. And I think I'd always wanted to be in the Navy, just because my dad was in the Navy. So I joined, and I was just going to do 4 years, you know, and get out. But at that time, there was a pretty bad recession going on, so there really weren't any jobs in late 70s, early 80s. So I re-enlisted and raised a family, and by the time I had 8 or 10 years in, I just decided to go ahead and finish out the 20. And I worked in the engineering plants aboard ship, down in the engine rooms. I was a machinist mate. Retired in 1995 and went to work as a carpenter. I always felt that being in the military was just being part of something bigger than me. It was just a good time in my life, I guess. The 20 years I spent in the military, a lot of good people, a lot of hard work, a lot of places. We visited a lot of places. I've been around the world twice. Been in some war zones and been in some, you know, nice liberty ports. Our family, my dad was in the Navy. We were stationed in Little Creek, Virginia, and my dad always had horses. He grew up with a horse, but you know, he worked his horses. And my grandfather was a postman, rode a horse to deliver mail back in the early 1900s. So, in fact, I've still got his saddle that he rode delivering mail. And so my dad had a white gelding. We were in Little Creek, Virginia, and he had a white gelding, and he let us ride all the time when I was a kid. And then when I was about 8, we moved to the family farm down in Hart County. And of course, we naturally got horses at that time. And so I actually rode to school a few times growing up. The janitor had a round pen behind his house there next to the school. So we'd get together, or if I missed the bus or something, I'd just saddle up a horse and ride to school. That was pretty neat. But I've been off and on horses for my whole life, I guess, almost 60 years now. I was in Afghanistan. I worked for the Corps of Engineers, and I was deployed in 2014 to Gardez. That's a small fob just south of Bagram. And in my spare time, I mean, we worked 12, 14 hours a day, but you had nothing else to do. There was no place to really go and socialize or anything like that. So you either worked or you were in your room. So I'd sit in front of the computer and look at rescues, because we wanted another horse or two. I read this weird classified ad, a Craigslist ad for a pony named Satan. And it intrigued me pretty good. I got a good laugh out of it. Shared it with a lot of the guys there in the office there who got a pretty good chuckle out of it. So we just got started looking at the page, and then just started following Olivia on how, you know, she was working with him and how scared he was, and then reading all of the other posts. You know, people were they went the whole gamut of. They were against it, they were for it, you need to do this, you need to try that. And I just sat back and watched, and I just thought that the time that I was there, I guess y'all got Satan in July, and I was there until December. So I got a whole 5 months of being able to follow the first few months of it, and I've been a fan ever since. After looking at Satan's page, you know, I thought, you know, well, before that, we were actually looking at some of the rescues. I had nothing else to do at the time. You know, I was in my spare time. So we looked at some of the different rescues, and that when the Kentucky Equine Center popped up there. And so at that time, I was watching what Olivia was doing with the horses, and I really believed that there was a lot of good going out there. So I was a little concerned about some of the rescues being really not up to par, because you know, you hear in the news where this rescue was, the horses were taken away, or that, that one had issues. But I could tell looking at the pictures of the horses that the facility was in pretty good shape. So I just followed along. And while I was over there, I'd send pictures to my wife here at home and say, hey, what do you think about this one? Hey, what do you think about that one? And then as soon as I got home, we came over and visited the first open house that they had, and looked at a couple of horses. But we were looking at getting our fences done around here on the farm before we brought in more horses. We had a lot of barbed wire here. In fact, all the line fence was barbed wire, and there was some other in here. So we got rid of all that and put up board for the safety of the horses. And that was kind of what we were waiting on to get the ones that we've got. When these two here popped up, we just, I saw the pictures where they were covered in burrs, and the patience and time that Olivia and the people there put into working with them, and they just talked good about the horses. So we decided those were the two that we wanted, and we went after them, and here they are. And we went to several different events where I did Civil War reenactments, and there would be soldiers around, or active duty, or we went to Life of the Soldier there at Fort Knox. And some of those guys had never been around a horse before, never been on a horse, and I could put them on Tater, and he would just walk around with them, just as slow, just walk around wherever they wanted to go. He'd just go, and I could whistle. He'd be across the field over here. I'd whistle, and he'd turn around and just walk right back to me. You'd see the guys that just have the biggest smile on their face. I've never ridden a horse, or I've never been around horses, but this, I got to do some more of this. We got involved with a couple of different veterans groups, and decided that that's kind of where we wanted to spend our spare time, I guess, was trying to help out other veterans, especially ones that have got problems and issues. The veteran suicide rate is extremely high, and that's sad, and that's kind of why we decided to do what we're doing here. We think that we can help not only the rescue horses, but maybe in the future we can help out some of the veterans. Research I've done, read and watched videos and stuff like that with the veterans working with horses. I think it helps calm them down, makes them realize that, hey, life is not really bad. I know some of them have seen some pretty horrible things in their lives, in their time in the service. But when they come out and they put their arms around a horse, or they just, brush a horse out, or just, I've seen them just stand there and talk to a horse, and the horse will stand there and listen, and it's pretty impressive. With the veteran participation, most of what I've seen has been orchestrated, or prepared, or some kind of a program. Most of what we've done here with other veterans, inviting them is veterans that I know or served with or worked with over in Afghanistan, and just keeping up with them over the years. And you can tell pretty much when you're talking to them that they're going through an issue, or they got a problem. And I'll just send them a note, say, hey, why don't you come to the farm and spend 2 or 3 days, and we'll just talk. No pressure. You can sit and eat the whole time if you want to. You can sit underneath a tree if you want to. You can go out and ride. We'll do whatever you want to do. We'll take the time, and we'll take care of it. Always had a feeling for other veterans, especially those that came back after Vietnam, because I joined right at the end, and I saw how those people were treated. In fact, I had some friends who had come back from Vietnam that were treated pretty poorly. So There's times that I'll see a man or a veteran, and he'll have a Vietnam veteran's hat on, and I'll just stick my hand out and welcome him home, and it's that'll touch you, because they weren't welcomed home. I want to be proactive, but I want to be able to react to a situation. So if I see a veteran in need or in trouble, I can put that invitation out and say, hey, just come and spend some time with us. Take a couple of days, take a week, I don't care. Just come and spend some time with us, and let's talk. And it seems like it's worked out pretty good so far. The future is we want to build a new house with accommodations for a couple of vets, to be able to support them while they're here. Let them ride, let them sit under the tree if they want to, and just watch the butterflies. I don't care. If they want to talk, they can talk. If they just want to get away from the situation that they're in, that's fine too. Whatever support we can provide, that's kind of what we're looking for. And we thought that this would be a pretty good venue for that. The setting to us this is kind of like our little slice of heaven here.